Hello, everyone. Welcome to Virtual Open Day. Uh, my name is Jamal Tahim. I'm the course director for Construction Management Postgraduate, and I'm joined by Ashim Shrestha, who is course director for dual degree Bachelor of Construction Management Honors and Bachelor of Property and Real Estate. Together, we'll be talking about our construction management suite of programs, including our Bachelors of Construction Management as well as our dual degree programs. Before we start, let's acknowledge the country. So we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which our university campuses are based, the Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation on whose country our Geelong campuses are located, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation on whose country our Burwood campus is located, and the Peak Wurrung people of the Maar Nation on whose country our Warrnambool campus is located. We acknowledge all of these indigenous people. Why study construction management with us? Well, we are a real community, a community made up of experts coming from industry background, coming from research and teaching background. We have our experience of hands-on learning. Our professors who have spent years in the industry bring on the real experience and offer hands-on learning opportunities in our lectures, in our classrooms, and in our tutorials and seminars. As I was saying, our graduate employment rate is significantly high. It's over 90%, meaning more than 90% of our graduates find the job in industry even before they graduate. Most of our final year bachelors of construction management and bachelors of dual degree program students are working within their final year. We are very flexible as far as learning methods and learning technologies and techniques are concerned. You can learn with us online, and we also offer a trimester 3, a summer trimester for those who would want to complete the education ahead of others. We'll go and talk about it in detail on this aspect. We have great lecturers, as I said before, people coming from experience with research, industry, policy making, curriculum, education. All of this comes in at one point in our school in the form of the learning opportunities we offer. And we are professionally accredited. There are several accreditation bodies, I'm going to go talk about them in a while, who accredited our programs. And this offers a lot of certainty, a lot of quality certainty to our programs. And not only you can, using the accreditation support, you can claim the expertise in Australia, but abroad as well, since some of our accreditation bodies are international as well. So I'll talk about the the Bachelor of Construction Management honors. This is one of our core programs that we offer. The program is made up of 32 credit points. So you'll successfully complete these credit points over the duration of the course. This is a mandatory requirement. Completing all 32 credit points is absolutely essential for the graduation. Most students choose up to 4 units per trimester. That's a pretty balanced workload. Students can choose less as well, but we have seen that 4 units per trimester is an optimum workload for a trimester. And usually most of our students undertake 2 trimesters each year, while we do offer a 3rd trimester as well, but most of our students we have observed they take 2 trimesters. So you can choose your own electives. You'll see in a while that our program structure has the opportunity of selecting multiple electives, which you can choose from many courses across the university. So if you have interest in music, or if you have interest in education, or if you have interest in biology, we have several other programs throughout the university where you can take the electives from. Course duration, as I said before, it's usually 4 years full-time program if you're taking 2 trimesters per year. But if you want to go fast track your education with us, you can also complete your education within 3 years. But for that to happen, you would have to take 3 trimesters every year. So the first 2 trimesters being the T1 starting in the month of March, and the T2 starting in the month of July. And we also have, as I said before, a 3rd trimester in summer that starts in the month of November. Our teaching trimesters are, by the way, 11 weeks long, with 1 week in addition to 11 teaching weeks, 1 week as a mid-trimester break. So as I was talking previously, the accreditation, professional accreditation that our programs are exposed to, there are several, they are very exhaustive, and they help us ensure a very high quality of offerings as part of a program. So a Bachelor of Construction Management Honors is accredited by Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, which is a British and internationally recognized body, Australian Institute of Building, Australian Institute of Quantity Surveyors, Chartered Institute of Building. So these are the bodies which do make sure that our programs are current, our programs are relevant, our programs are impactful, and they make sure that the content and the way that content is delivered creates and keeps our graduates job ready. We are also recognized for practice in more than 50 countries. This is how a typical course structure for Bachelor of Construction Management Honors looks like. This is a typical, as I said, since it goes on to consuming all 4 years, meaning that only 2 trimesters per year. So when you're joining in trimester 1, these are the units we call our subjects units. So these are the units that you will be studying: building material science, construction projects 1, construction finance, and building safety. You can see that several of our units are scaffolded in such a way that they continue to build in terms of the expertise, in terms of the sophistication as well. So construction projects 1 would be followed by construction projects 2. It means in construction project 2, a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills, a lot of expertise that you have gained in the previous unit would be used and would be advanced to the next stage. Similarly, you can see project management 1, project management 2, project management 3. Such also contract administration 1, contract administration 2, and contract administration 3. So these are the examples of the scaffolding of knowledge and expertise that we provide to our students as soon as they move in their years of education. So these are the units for year 1, then year 2, 3, and 4. You can see that in the last 2 years, there is opportunity for studying a maximum of 3 elective units. All other units, which are highlighted by this blue color, they are all core. That means completing them, a successful completion of these units is absolutely essential for the graduation requirement. But the elective units, you can choose the ones that you want. So in your last years, you can go on to selecting 3 elective units from anywhere throughout the university that you feel like. As I said before, wherever your interest takes you, wherever your future aspiration takes you, you can go and study a unit anywhere. In addition to these, we also have requirements for a couple of 0 credit units. These are 0 credits because they are not counted towards your WAM, towards your percentage, but completing them also is very important. And the reason why they're kept as 0 credit is they contain and are involved with the very basic information or very basic knowledge on construction management. So safety induction program, which is absolutely essential for any construction professional, as well as academic integrity. So these are the 2 units: SRA 010 safety induction program and STP 050 academic integrity. These are both 0 credit point compulsory units. So while there is no absolute program as to when you can complete them, you can complete them whenever you want, but we do suggest you that you complete these units as early as possible. But if you keep them till the end, this is not something that we will suggest you doing. But you need to complete them. Again, they're compulsory for the requirement of the graduation. So what are our entry requirements? When and where and against what sort of previous performance we accept the students? So you can see here our 3 main programs offered by the university, by our school: Bachelor of Construction Management Honors, as well as a combined degree program, which is Bachelor of Design Architecture and Bachelor of Construction Management, and another program that we talked before as well, that Ashim will be explaining in detail: Bachelor of Construction Management Honors and Bachelor of Property and Real Estate. So let's see the first one. It's the duration of the first program is 4 years or 3 years if you want to fast track it. It is offered at Waterfront Campus. The lowest ATAR for this in the last previous years is 60.3. And the prerequisite is VCE units 3 and 4 study score of at least 25 in English, EAL, or 20 in English other than EAL, and a VTech application is required. You can see that our next program, which is one of our flagship programs as well, is 5 years long. All our dual degree programs are 5 years long. The Bachelor of Design Architecture and Construction Management is offered at Waterfront again. You can see that the popularity of this program is pretty much high also, as per the lowest ATAR is concerned. Entry for applicants with previous tertiary vet life or work experience will be based on the performance. So we do consider all of these. If you have done in the past, if you have worked, if you have any tertiary education or work experience in construction management, construction industry, or design architecture. So senior secondary certificate of education with ATAR of at least 50 or equivalent, or certificate 4 in a related discipline is they are also considered. Or we also do consider diploma in any discipline, or 50% completion of a diploma in a related discipline, or successful completion of relevant study at an accredited higher education institution equivalent to at least 2 Deakin University units. Or you can also have evidence of academic capability, which will be judged by equivalent, for example, relevant work or life experience. If you've designed on your own home and you have demonstrated experience of knowing the technical aspects of designing and executing your own home, for example, we can consider that as well. So our last program, the combined degree, is also 5 years long. And this program is offered at both of our Burwood as well as Waterfront campuses. So if you're based in Geelong, or if you're based in Melbourne, you can do this course as well. And the ATAR is 71.2 for both of these campuses. So how does a typical week look like for our students? Well, a typical week in trimester 1 of your first year would be something like this: up to 9 hours, 8 to 9 hours on campus every week, 1 hour to 2 hours online lectures, so that would be classes, and about 30 hours of self-study. You can see that the transition to university, while we want to and we try to make it as smooth as possible, requires you to put in some time on your own. So 30 hours of self-study is evidence of this statement. And if you break these hours down into a week, Monday would be such as self-study. Tuesday, you would be doing building safety, so 1 hour class plus 1 hour seminar. Seminar is a tutorial where you work with your tutor, with your lecturer, with your professor more closely, and you try to do hands-on training. Let's say if there is some mathematical numerical you're solving, or some design activity you're doing, so it will be more hands-on. Wednesday is another unit, building materials, for example, so 1 hour online class plus 1 hour seminar. Thursday, you would have 2 units, construction projects and construction finance, seminars and classes, plus 1 hour practical for the first 3 weeks only, because the construction projects unit involves a lot of on-hands training as well. And construction finance, you can see, involves a lot of discussion in terms of teaching material. So the class is 2 hours long. And Friday is self-study, or some alternative seminar times can also be given. So this is how a typical week look like. This is not necessarily a definite timetable of activities, but you can have an idea as to how much time you would be spending per unit in your first trimester. As far as facilities go, we are pretty packed up with modern facilities, be them the working space, the creative space, be them the equipment, be them the support of human resources. We have pretty much everything what it takes to be a successful graduate of construction management and property and real estate and design architecture. Not only we don't only look inside for inspiration and for ideas and for testing the knowledge that we're delivering, but we also look outside. We take our students to site visits where they're exposed to the real conditions of how construction industry operates, and how the knowledge that they're getting in a classroom environment, how it is actually being applied on a construction site. So construction site visits is our regular feature. While there was COVID, we were doing them online. but now that we are free from somewhat, we're free from COVID, and we are free back to some form of normalcy, our construction site visits in person are back to business. And our site visits are not just one-off site visit, just going to a single site. The site visits are a demonstration of a very strong industry linkage. We are very much closely, integrated with the industry, because our focus is to prepare graduates who are job ready, who go out and who hit the ground running, who have the best of academic as well as industrial understanding of how things work in construction industry. So our focus is on industry. Our courses are accredited, and accreditation helps us create more focus and more inclination towards creating job ready graduates. And how do we ensure that? Some of the examples include our will work integrated learning structure. This is built into the core of our program, where our learning is integrated with work. So case study based learning, um, placement in the industry, lectures by the industry experts, site visits, they all form what we call work integrated learning. And we also have real lectures. These are lectures by industry experts who come, and some of them are our own graduates as well, who come and talk about the burning issues and most recent phenomenon happening in the industry. Apart from that, our industry linkage is also demonstrated by our flagship student exhibition. That's our annual student exhibition that happens every year at Melbourne's Federation Square. We call it Paper Space. This is a great opportunity for students to showcase their work, and not only showcase to their own peers or their professors, but also to general public and industry participants. Uh, every year, this event attracts hundreds of visitors, both common general public as well as the technical personnel. And finally, our curriculum is informed by industry, such that we have very strong advisory boards made up of industry professionals who view our program, who inform us of their current and future needs, and with a joint arrangement and a combined synergy, we develop a curriculum which is most relevant to the current and future needs of the industry.
Okay, my name is Ashim, and I'm the course coordinator for the double degree of Bachelor of Construction Management Honors and Bachelor of Property and Real Estate. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this course. So this course is the only one of its kind in Victoria. So it's a highly popular course. It started in 2016, but it's one of the fastest growing course in our school. So we have, as Jamal said earlier, we have great lecturers who come from industry, who have a lot of international experience, and the course is also accredited. So this course includes the property part and the construction part. The property part of the course is done in Burwood. You can also do the property part of the course online. The construction part of the course is done in Waterfront. Right? So it's a 5-year course, so it's longer than a single degree, but it also provides a lot of new opportunities, after you graduate. So the course is accredited. So for the construction part of the course, as Jamal mentioned earlier, is accredited by several industry and several international bodies. The property part of the course is done accredited separately by the Australian Property Institute and the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. So this is the highest level of accreditation for any property course in Australia. So for this course, you need to complete 40 credit points over the duration of the course, including 2 credit points of electives. So for electives, you can choose any unit, any subject within Deakin that you're interested in. So most students choose to study 4 units per trimester and usually undertake 2 units each trimester. So again, as Jamal said, if you want to complete it earlier than 5 years, then you can choose to do the accelerated program, which is using the 3rd trimester, doing some of the units in the 3rd trimester in the summer. So students can commence their course either at Burwood or at the waterfront. So depending where you start your course, the course structure will be different. If you start at Burwood, you'll be completing the property units first and then moving on to waterfront to do the construction units. If you study at waterfront, you'll be doing the construction units first, and you can also do the property units online as you go along. So again, the course is, it's a total of 5 years if you choose to do it 2 trimesters a year. But if you make use of the accelerated program, you can do it in 4 years' time. So when you graduate, you'll have a lot of options. So you can go the pathway of construction, or you can also go towards property. So these are all the different roles you can go into after you graduate. So you can be a project manager, you can be a construction manager, estimator, contract administrator, quantity surveyor, site manager, supervisor. So these are all construction roles. And you can go towards the property line. So that's the property advisors, property developers, property investment analysts, fund managers, property and asset managers, and leasing agents.
Becoming a construction manager is also very interesting. As a construction manager, you can organize all the aspects of building construction from the ground up. You are someone who is at the center of all the music, at the center of all the activities. So you will be required to oversee and liaise with all the involved parties in construction in order to deliver different buildings on time and on budget. These are 2 very strict requirements. And as part of that, the day-to-day activities involve supervising activities on site, planning and scheduling the activities in order to maximize the resources and in order to make sure that the efficient, optimized resource utilization is happening, and also oversee different documentation, applications, approvals and permits and all of that. These are all the day-to-day tasks. This is a summary of them. There are surely other tasks as well. But you can, if you want to know what sort of personality it takes to be a construction manager, well, a people's person is what it requires to be a construction manager. Someone who has an enthusiasm for organization, planning, management, who is good at communication with different people, different groups of people across the board, and someone who has an innate interest in seeing the project through from the dream to completion. And all this hard work as an indicative average salary help you earn over $110,000 every year.
So the property developer is very similar, but this involves more mathematics, I think, learning about understanding of the economy, understanding finance, and you're developing a project from the beginning right to the end, right? So it's not just the construction aspect, but you're involved really early, you're developing the whole project. So again, the salaries for both construction manager, property developer is quite high. But one thing you need to keep in mind that when you graduate, you may not be a construction manager straight away or a property developer straight away. But over the years, you can get knowledge from your work experience and move on to the role of construction manager or property developer.
We have also several global experiences for our students. So this IDD, which is Intercultural Dialogue Through Design, is our flagship program where students go on study tours, up to 3-week-long study tour in different parts of the world to create projects which are connected with the local economy, local society, and impact the day-to-day activities. One example given here is with Manipal Academy of Higher Education, where students work with rural community members on sustainable design concepts of an Anagwadi, which is mother-child center. Every year, our students go and work with local communities in different parts of the world to create projects which eventually help impact some of their lives aspect. And after COVID, this IDD is now back. So our students would be going at the end of this year or beginning of next year as a new IDD post-COVID. Study tours and student exchange is also pretty much part and parcel of what we offer. So students can study abroad for a trimester as part of the short-term study tour. And we also have students visiting from other countries. Our students have visited different countries and different partner universities in several of Southeast Asian countries, including India, Nepal, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and different partner universities from all across the world. We do offer scholarships as well. One example is Power and Water Scholarship for Women in STEM. It is offered to domestic female students commencing an undergraduate degree offered by our faculty. Our school is part of the Faculty of Science, Engineering, and Built Environment. So if this is which is based on Geelong Vaughan Ponds and Geelong Waterfront campuses. So the benefits of Bowen Water Scholarship for Women in STEM is cash payment up to $2,000 per year, $2,000 per year. Total value is of $6,000. There's another example of Ignited Scholarship. This has been created to ignite women's interest in the industry areas, including engineering, information technology, as well as construction management. This is based at Burwood, Vaughan Ponds, Waterfront, as well as our cloud campuses. And the benefit is payment of $625 per credit point plus an academic mentor. And more information on scholarships can be achieved, can be found on this URL. Construction management, as I was talking before, has 2 trimesters, March to June the first, and trimester 2, July to October, with the additional trimester 3, November to January. So look at the major areas, for example, project management, which we offer in Geelong Waterfront campus or also offer online. What do we do in this particular area of expertise is students can gain an overview of the essential knowledge which is required to plan and design and successfully manage projects. So someone who wants to be a successful project manager in construction industry would sufficiently benefit from project management area of knowledge. You can learn about the purposes and context of project management within the Australian construction industry. We are not only traditional, but we're also very, very modern. So technologies such as building information modeling are part and parcel of our education. So we also offer introduction to BIM. Effective management of information is central to the success of construction projects, and BIM is something that helps automate and better manage that information. So as part of this educational experience, you will gain knowledge on the concepts as well as you will have hands-on experience on modeling and operating BIM related to information systems and methodologies. So which courses are these 2 knowledge areas offered in? Well, all of our bachelor courses. I thank you and Ashim also for joining us. You can please join our live Q&A session. Up next, to get your questions answered, we'll have someone answering all your questions. So please feel free to raise all the questions that you have. Please also explore the resources on this page and across the Virtual Open Day website. Most of the questions will be answered in one or the other page. And take this opportunity to do a web chat with our experts at any time. You can get a lot of insight from them. And please join us on campus at our open day in August to experience and to see firsthand all our facilities, meet our engaging staff, soak up the campus vibe, and talk to all of us. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing really well. Welcome to Deakin's Virtual Open Day 2022. You've just joined me in the live Q&A panel session for the Bachelor of Construction Management Honours. Deakin would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which Deakin University campuses reside. In particular, I acknowledge the Wadarang people of the Kulin Nation, on whose land the School of Architecture and Built Environment's waterfront campus is located. The school is committed to acknowledging, building and sustaining respect and understanding between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians. We value and celebrate diversity where all staff and students have respect for all cultures, knowledge and values. I also pay my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who may be with us today, and I will always be mindful and respectful that our First Nations people are the traditional custodians of this country. My name is Susan Ang. I'm the Associate Head of School International and a qualified architect, and today I'm pleased to MC the session. I'm joined by a live panel of construction management experts from the School of Architecture and Built Environment, and I'm very pleased to introduce to you, beginning with Professor Imriaz Kamadin.
Hello, everyone.
Professor Imriaz Kamadin is the Head of Construction Management at the School of Architecture and Built Environment. Imriaz is internationally renowned as a scholar and educator of construction management with over 15 years of international experience in academia and industry practice. Next is Dr. Natik Mahmood.
Hi, everyone.
Dr. Natik Mahmood is a senior lecturer and the course director of the Bachelor of Construction Management Honours. Dr. Natik has more than 10 years of teaching experience and research expertise in construction management. And last but not least is Timothy Cassidy. Hi, Tim.
Hello, everyone.
Tim is a recent graduate in the Bachelor of Construction Management Honours and is currently working at Boral. And Boral is, of course, Australia's largest integrated construction materials company. And Tim, you're currently looking after the delivery of the asphalt component of a major roads project in Mackay for a tier 1 contractor. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So working on the Northern Access upgrade at the moment and on the asphalt and spray seal component of that.
Well, that
So
sounds
getting
very
there towards the end.
exciting. We'll have to get you to tell us more about your graduate work experience. So many of you will have tuned in earlier to the course presentation that was provided by Professor Imriaz Kamadin, and you're here to ask us follow-up questions and to find out more about the course experience and the graduate outcomes from our panel of experts. As the focus of this session is about the Bachelor of Construction Management Honours, I will ask that you keep your questions to this session. So if you'd like to ask a question, I invite you to please type your question into the Q&A section on this page. And I'll do my best to get around to everyone's questions and get the panel to give you as many answers as possible. Sometimes you'll get a verbal response from the panel, but other times you might receive a written response. So it's timely as well to say thank you and acknowledge the behind the scenes tech panel, as well as the construction management experts who are behind the scenes. So we'll begin our session question with a question from Mel, who has asked today about industry partners and placements that might occur in the course. Professor Imriaz, as a construction management expert, how important is industry engagement to the course and to the students?
Thanks, Mel and Susan, for the great question. Construction management is a very applied discipline, so we have to be close to industry practice, that we are close to industry practice. So all our course contents and the assignments, everything is guided by the industry needs. And we also have the professional bodies who accredit our courses. And we also have several industry placements and site visits, to get students to understand industry practice. We also have a work integrated learning unit. I would probably invite Dr. Natik Mahmood to talk about our work integrated learning. Before that, I would also like to mention that a lot of our students work in the industry while they're studying, probably from their second year. In that case, Timothy will be able to give some first-hand experience after Dr. Natik have explain the build opportunities. Over to you,
Thank-
Dr. Nathi Mahmood.
Thank you, Professor Imrias. That's a good point and valid point, and question is very relevant to our context as construction management. In our work integrated learning, we actually categorize work integrated learning into 3 parts, whether our course is problem-based, project-based, or we have real placement. So in first 2 cases, problem and project basis, all of our units in our course, in Bachelor of Construction Management course, and also postgrad level, we have all the units with all these embedded assessment items there. And our contents are sort of up to date, that cater the industry needs as well. As Professor mentioned, our course accredited by 4 professional bodies, and 2 of them are internationally recognized professional bodies. In terms of work integrated learning, the placement unit, we are planning to start our placement unit, which is an elective from T3 onwards. As Professor also mentioned, that most of our students started working while they are studying, especially when they graduate, they got 2 or 3 years of working experience before they even graduate. So that's a good hands-on experience for the students. And I would like to introduce Timothy to talk about this, because Timothy went through this experience.
Yeah, thanks, Natek. Thanks for the question. In my experience, I definitely did, as Imrias and Natek touched on, started working at the end of my 2nd year. So throughout my 3rd and 4th year, I was working part-time in the industry. I know that lots of my classmates as well were doing the same thing. And with that, it was really good because I almost felt like what I was doing at work complemented what I was doing at uni, whilst what I was studying at uni really complemented what I was doing at work. And then when it came to graduating and applying for graduate jobs, I found already having that 2 years of experience, employers looked really kindly on that. So I wasn't just a new entrant straight out of university. I had the university, the tertiary qualifications, and then I also had the work experience as well, which I found to be really good.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks panel for that very detailed reply to Mel's question about industry engagement. So moving on from industry engagement, the other question that many in the audience are interested to know about are the study abroad opportunities. So obviously it's very early days in post-COVID period, but certainly you might like to talk about any international experiences that construction management students can look forward to, when the study abroad opportunities become available. Perhaps Natik, as the course director, is this something that's built in for credit for students?
We have some electives where Susan is heavily involved. Susan, could you please start on this? Then I can build on what you have mentioned.
Yeah, well, Deakin University certainly promotes a lot of study experiences and study abroad overseas, and there are many, many types of international experiences. Sometimes the international experiences are short-term, so they can be any duration from 1 week to even a year. And there are also a lot of government grants that support the domestic students on HEC schemes who can access these study loans. The short-term study tours that the school offers, they are faculty-led tours. So we have tours in the before COVID, we have led a tour to Nepal and to Colombo. And of course, we also have the Intercultural Dialogue Through Design, which is a collaborative community project. So these opportunities are also available to construction management students, and they're also study abroad and exchange programs. I'm not sure, I guess for you, Tim, a lot of 2 of your years were during COVID, and not many international experiences were obviously available then. But would that have been something you might have considered if that was available to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately for me, my final 2 years when I would have been looking to do it was during COVID, and sort of wasn't an option for reasons outside of everyone's control. But I know some other people that did it, fortunately, before COVID, and they had just a great experience traveling and seeing different parts of the world and getting other perspectives.
Yeah.
In eyesight, it would be back to going and starting now and having those opportunities to go overseas again.
Yeah, so we'll have to make sure that we bring those back as soon as the borders allow us to travel. So a question from Ian here about what double degrees are available within the Bachelor of Construction Management. Imrias or Natik, that's something in your wheelhouse?
Yeah, okay, thanks for the question. Yes, we do have 2 double degrees with the Bachelor of Construction Management honors. First one is the Bachelor of Design Architecture, Bachelor of Construction Management honors, and the second one is Bachelor of Construction Management honors, Bachelor of Real Estate, Property and Real Estate. So these 2 degrees last for 5 years. You have to complete 4 credit points, and the beauty and the advantage of these 2 degrees, you will be, you have the broader prospect for getting a job in many disciplines, many areas, whether it's property development, architectural field, construction management. A lot of our students, soon after graduating, they get the management position. It doesn't happen for graduates of single degrees, and because of their broad-based knowledge base, they get that opportunity, and they can get placements, even work in many different parts. Maybe if Dr. Natik, Mahmoud, if you have anything to add to that, please go ahead.
Thank you, Professor Imrias. I mean, when we had an formal interaction with the industry partners, they mentioned one thing: our degree, especially the double degrees, are quite unique. And they also mentioned those students who are in these double degrees, they are a lot of sort of asset for their organization, because they involve in design and build projects quite heavily from the start. So these students are sort of, unique contribution to that context. So they're highly valued to the students, actually, in the industry.
Thank you, panel. Moving on to another question, and this is probably more about graduate outcomes. You've talked about a lot about the double degree as well as a single degree. So how would you, suggest, I guess, what are your thoughts about how the degrees actually prepare the graduates for the future? What is the industry needs in terms of employability, and where are the job prospects? Are they in Australia? Are they city-based, or are they overseas?
Okay, perhaps I will start with the answer. This is a great question, but a lot of kind of a multi-barrel questions. First is the graduate outcome or graduate employability. Now, I would start with that. Our recent survey, the survey conducted by the Australian government, they informed us that our graduates, the employability of the graduates are over 90% after graduating, soon after graduating, over 90%, which is highest at Beacon. So that's graduate, the employability rate. In terms of graduate attributes, how we prepare, as we mentioned earlier, our curriculum is informed by the industry heavily, and we keep abreast of the industry needs and new knowledge. So we always keep updating the content to meet the industry needs. And whenever they go to the industry, they are ready. Also, our student has said they work, so they have the experience from the site or the industry as well. Now, we are also aware that things might change. So in addition to providing the industry-based knowledge, we prepare them as lifelong learners, which means they can learn and adapt anytime, anywhere. My third part of the question was related to where can they get a job. So our students work all over the place, in the sense all around the world. Because our course is accredited by international professional institutions as well as local, they are recognized all over the world. We have student graduates in Australia, Asia, Europe, Middle East, and many, many places. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, you've certainly responded to that question really well, Professor Imrias. Maybe I could invite Timothy, Tim, to tell us how the course directly informed his position at Boral and how the course prepared you, when you first started. I guess you told us a little bit about how you were already working when you were a student. So in that regard, you were very familiar with that work culture and work practice. But now that you're a graduate, I guess, have things changed? And what does your career prospect look like to you, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I think it was sort of that twofold. There were the sort of the professional construction management skills, so the preparing quotations or managing programs, reviewing contracts, those sorts of things. And when I was getting shown how we do them at my work, I'd already seen those processes before, so it made it a lot easier for me to pick those things up in my graduate role. And I think the second thing was sort of those softer skills, which I learned at university. We spent lots of time working in teams, doing presentations, which are things that I use every day, going out and having to talk to people, and everything that I do at work is always in a team environment. I think those skills that I was able to develop at Deakin were really good. In terms of graduate employability, though, you just have a look around the number of infrastructure projects which are going on around Australia at the moment. So for now, I'm up in Queensland working. So not quite overseas yet, but definitely somewhere else, and really enjoying it.
Thank you, Tim. Is now a good time to ask you what the delivery of the asphalt component of the Major Roads project in Mackay, what does that entail?
Yeah, so essentially the Bruce Highway, about 5 kilometres through Mackay, is being duplicated, and they're upgrading about 3 or 4 intersections along it. So the principal contractor is delivering all of the sort of coordinating all the various subcontractors, and we're one of those on it, and we're delivering all of the spray seal works as well as all of the asphalt work. So here we have, in my office, we have an asphalt manufacturing plant, and then we look after everything from the manufacturing through to the physical laying out on site. And at the moment we're getting towards the end. So it's probably 70 to 80% done, and we'll keep moving towards the finish. It's been a really good experience.
Yeah, good on you, Tim. Dr. Natik, can you tell us a little bit about the course itself? How much maths is involved? What is the maths requirement when you enter the course, and is maths, required throughout the course?
Thank you, Susan. We have some units where we have estimation, measurement and estimation, which is a part of quantity surveying units we call. In undergrad, we have 4 units of similar type. So in that, we have very basic like summation, subtraction, multiplication or division, that sort of maths we need. Other than that, we don't have calculus or differential equation, we don't use. So I can assure prospective students, you don't have to do very detailed math. We don't have detailed math knowledge or advanced level of math knowledge in our degree.
Well, that sounds assuring. I think like many technical oriented courses, there is a perception of, a high level of maths being required. I guess what are the pillars of the course? Do you think it's about, managing time? It's about being attention to detail. Can you guys talk about the things that, the characteristics, the hallmarks of the, a construction management graduate in a way at Deakin?
Okay.
Professor, Professor
okay.
Imrias.
All right, thank you for the question, Susan. Okay, construction management is an amalgamation of several competencies: management skills, economics skills, research skills, technological skills, and even the interpersonal skills. So we have also legal skills, contract legal skills. So in terms of management skills, we have subjects related to construction management. There are 4 units related to that in the unit in the course. And economics, it deals with quantity surveying, estimating, plus the other economics of the infrastructure project and other building projects, economic viability. The technological skills, we teach how to use IT, different types of IT to manage projects, how to manage time, how to manage sustainability. We also cover sustainability, how to build sustainably, not only environmental sustainability, but also economic and social sustainable construction, and the research skills, so how to do research. So it's a kind of you will be kind of a well-rounded graduate, I can say.
Of course. Thank you, Imrias.
Okay.
Now going back to the waterfront campus facilities, a question from the audience is about the facilities available to construction management students, and are these facilities available outside hours? I think the course director, you probably should be able to answer this one, Natik.
Thank you so much, Susan. During COVID situation, we have some restricted hours of using some of these facilities, but as the COVID eases, our library facilities, you can access 24/7 almost. Our classrooms and other facilities, definitely they have restricted uses of it during the physical time frame embedded into this. But you can access to library and computer lab facilities, usually 24/7. So that's the main part where students are involved in discussing their group assignments, or also working for their assignments, or prepare for the assignment, or prepare for the exam during their studies. So they use mainly the library and computer lab facilities.
Well, thank you, Natik. And another question for you also. I believe there is a construction technology or construction management thesis unit or research thesis unit for construction management students. Someone in the audience would like to know what that's about, and when do you do that unit, and what kind of topics are available to students?
Thank you, Susan. That's a great question. We have 3 credit points, so 2 units involved in research. So 1 unit, we talk about the research proposal, where we talk about how they do research, what are the methodologies they can use while doing the research. And this is 1 credit point, which is called SRF 401. SRF 402, which is 2 credit point units, where they have to deliver the whole thesis with 10,000 words. Thesis they have to develop. So they have to do the detailed investigation, exploration of the study on that topic. So the topic, usually they cover the technical aspects and social aspects. They also talk about, for example, work-life balance, the women in construction, the communication, challenges, issues. They also talk about sustainability, critical elements of sustainability in infrastructure projects or in construction projects. Timothy actually worked in that area. I will get back to Timothy. And then we have some other challenges and issues within the process methods in construction. So it's kind of different topics, and we have expertise in our group, in our discipline, who can be part of the supervision team. So I will come back to Timothy, because Timothy had got an interesting research topic, and later he actually used it in his work as well. So Timothy, can you give?
Yeah, that'd be really good to hear from Tim about your research topic.
Yeah, so I was really fortunate to have Tech as my supervisor for my thesis when I did it. And at the time, I was working on some asphalt projects in Victoria. And it was a real push from lots of our customers to use more recycled materials in their pavements. So I ended up, for my thesis, did it on the use of recycled materials in asphalt pavements as a comparative study between Australia and the United States, who are really sort of pushing the boundaries at the moment with that. And I found with that, it was just fascinating to do, because every day I was going into work and doing, or every 2 days a week I was going into work and looking at that, and have customers calling up asking for what recycled materials they could get. And then at uni, I was reading through all the various research papers and all of the journal articles which have been written on it, which I just found fascinating to do. I really enjoyed it. So yes, it was a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of words, but overall it was quite interesting. So I found it.
That's
Not that it went
excellent.
quickly, but it was good to do.
Oh, that's a really good example of hearing how a research topic at university in a course is relevant and applicable in the workplace. I think that's brilliant. You also, Dr. Natik, you mentioned very briefly women in construction. I think I should pick that up on behalf of my women folk. Can you please tell us more about what women in construction actually, are they a group? What do they mean?
Gender diversity is one of the critical issues in construction management. You don't find many female working in this industry, and they consider this is more of male-dominated industry, but we would like to change the perceptions about this industry. I think university should lead that, should work on that more. So we started working with our group, even in the group projects where we would like to invite more student participation, which is from female participation as well, mix the group members, male and female, so that they started working within this sort of environment before they getting into the real life job. But the challenges that we found that we don't have female intake that much, but we started working on how to promote more female students within our discipline. So Professor Imrias is working closely with the industry about this, so he will give us more insight. What are our initiatives around that?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Mahmood. Yes, it's a great question because as Dr. Mahmood mentioned, there's a perception that this is as a male industry, which is not true. So we want to change that. Being male, we want our gender to be equally in the industry. So we are working with Australian Institute of Building and NAVIC, National Association for Women in Construction, in some programs, in projects. So first one is the Girls in Construction. Through that project or program, we be working with girls school students to show them the industry, how it works, and guide them how to get into the university to a construction course. When they get to the university, we will be mentoring, with the industry people. Not only us, just the industry people will be guiding them to become leaders in the industry. When they go to the industry, in that process, they might even get scholarships. We have industry companies, professional bodies, and us, the tripartite collaboration partnership. So we will be helping them. When they go to the industry, they'll get mentorship to become industry leaders. The same thing is happening with the NAVIC. So I think we have opportunities. I think
That's great.
we will be exposed to that.
That's great. Thank you. We have actually almost reached the end of our session time. So I will only be fielding two very quick last questions, final questions. This question is just about how many hours on average would a student have to dedicate per week to studying full-time or part-time, I guess. If you give us an idea of the number of hours per week for full-time and the number of hours per week for part-time.
So full-time for scheduled activities, which we means the class and seminar activities. So if you take, if you are full-time students, usually you take 4 units per trimester. So we are looking at, you cover that scheduled activities around 12 hours per week. Plus, on top of, you have to do a self-study, which is around 24 hours in total weekly, I'm talking about. So in total, you're roughly 30, 40 hours per week for 4 units. Timothy will give me more insight because he's from that perspective, how you manage time in that regard. But that's how we, for the full-time students. For the part-time students, usually they take 2 units per trimester. So you just make it half, like 20 hours, 24 hours, something like that.
Thank you, Natik. I will like to give the last question to Tim so that we can get a student and a graduate wrap us up, actually, Tim. Really, just in a nutshell, what was your best experience, studying construction management at Deakin? What was the highlight, if I asked you just to name one thing? Yeah.
One thing, I'll go with two. I think the first one was just the people I met throughout the course and the friends I made while I was there. The second thing was just being at the waterfront campus every day. Like, it's a absolutely beautiful campus. You're on the waterfront, looking out at the ocean, and there are a few places which would be nicer to study, I don't think.
That's excellent. Thank you. Thank you to the panel for being such a wonderful panel. And thank you to the audience for asking us all those questions. It was great to see so many of you interested in the Bachelor of Construction Management honors at Deakin. And of course, if we didn't actually get around to responding to your question, either written or verbal, or you've thought of a question after the session has ended today, you still have an opportunity to join our all-day web chat where Deakin staff members are ready to help you. And if you'd like to learn more, there's also a lot of useful resources on our Deakin Open Day website that I encourage you to explore. So once again, thank you all for joining us today, and I hope to see you at Deakin very soon.